recording has started.
Hi, my name is Melissa. This video will be in audio only. Welcome to video 3, part 3 of using the taskbar of Windows 10 with JAWS. In my last video, I talked about how you can use the pin tiles list of the start menu. I talked about how you can pin and unpin items to the start menu and the taskbar. I also talked about how you can create desktop shortcuts and keyboard shortcuts to apps. And I finished off by talking about Cortana. In this video, I will be discussing taskbar buttons and how you can navigate through these buttons. And there's quite a lot of information here, so I will try to go through it slowly enough that I hope you will understand it. And I encourage you to grab your Windows 10 computer and follow along with me if you have one, because really the only way to understand this information fully is to explore and follow along with me and learn it. So every window or app that is running on your computer at that time will have a taskbar button, or any app that is pinned to the taskbar will also have a taskbar button. So even like a desktop app, which would be a Microsoft traditional program, would have a taskbar button if it's pinned to the taskbar, or if it's running, or even a Windows Store app if it has been pinned to the taskbar, which would be like a news app or an app that you've installed would have a taskbar button. Or if it's running, it would also have a taskbar button. Using an app's taskbar button, you can, first thing you can do is open an app. You can switch to or close any apps open windows in case of the web. So this would be Internet Explorer. You could open, switch to, or close the tabs. You can also open the app's jump list, and the jump list is in the context menu, and it includes more specific things that you can do with the app or application, and I'll talk about that a little bit here in a minute. There are two main ways of interacting with the taskbar buttons. The first way is to move the focus to one of the buttons, and then you would use keystroke commands to interact with the button. The second thing you can do is to use one of several keystrokes, which depends on the position of the taskbar button of the app. And this will be described more in a minute. The first taskbar buttons are for the pinned apps. So by default, when Windows 10 has been installed, there will be a number of apps that are already pinned to the taskbar. However, you can unpin apps from the taskbar. And I'm going to go ahead right now and just tell you how you can do that. So the first thing that you would do is you would focus on the app in the taskbar, and you would press your Windows application key, and you would press your down arrow till you locate Unpin from Taskbar and press enter, and this app will be unpinned from your taskbar. It will not remove the app from the computer, just from the taskbar. Although you may find using the taskbar buttons convenient, you don't have to use them. You can open apps from the start menu, and there are two other ways to switch to open windows. To switch to the previously viewed window, you would press Alt-Tab. To move to the next window, you would hold down the Alt key and repeatedly press Tab, and each time you did this, you would move to the next window. So let's say you have 3 apps open. You have Microsoft Word, Internet Explorer, and Outlook. So each time you pressed Alt Tab, you would move from your in between these 3 apps, your Internet Explorer, Microsoft Word, and Outlook apps, or any 3 apps that you have open. So when you're pressing Alt-Tab, you would press it until you're focused on the window that you would like. And the windows, you'll hear the title of the window. So like you would hear Internet Explorer, and then you might actually hear the number of tabs open in the window. If you have more than one tab open, you would hear Microsoft Word, and you would hear the number of documents you have open. If you have more than one, if not, you would just hear document 1. Pressing Alt-Tab again, you would hear Outlook. So it's a really easy way to navigate in between your windows. You can also open the Windows list dialog by pressing Shift F10. The first control has a list box which contains the titles of the open windows in the app in alphabetical order. So you can navigate up and down through the titles and press enter. And after you press enter, then the window that you select will be brought into focus. Now I'm going to talk about how to move to a taskbar button.
Shutter button. Press Alt plus Enter to activate. Press Alt plus Shift plus Enter to long press.
You can use Windows key plus T to cycle around the taskbar buttons. If the focus is not one of the taskbar buttons, then pressing Windows key plus T moves you to the first taskbar button. And if the focus is one of these buttons, then Windows key T moves you to the next button. Once the focus is on one of the taskbar buttons, you can also use these keystrokes to move around the buttons. You can press right arrow to move to the next taskbar button and left arrow to the previous taskbar button. You can press home to move to the first taskbar button and end to move to the last taskbar button. the first character of the app's name. You can also type that in, and this will bring up a list of characters or a list of apps that start with that character, and you could navigate with your up and down arrows through that list and press enter on the one that you want. When you move to a button, JAWS tells you the number of windows which the app has open. Or if there are no windows open, then JAWS will just read the name of the app, followed by the word button. If the app has windows open, then JAWS reads the name of the app, followed by the number of windows running or open, followed by the phrase button menu. Unfortunately, if there are 2 or more windows open, then JAWS also adds that you can use the arrow keys to move between windows. Just ignore this. You can move in between the buttons, but not the taskbar windows with your left or right arrow keys. The number of open windows determines what happens if you activate the button pressing spacebar. Now I'm going to talk about interacting with the taskbar button that you're focused on. If you move to a taskbar button to an app that has more than one Windows or apps open, then a task switcher list box temporarily opens above the button. This contains the titles of these windows or open tabs in the order in which they were open. The focus does not automatically move to the list box, but it is used in some of the following tasks, and I'm going to talk about it here right now. If a taskbar button is the focus, to either open an app or switch to a window or tab which is already open, press spacebar. The effect that you get depends on how many windows you have open. If the app has no open windows, then the app is just open. If the app has one window that's open, then the focus will be switched to that open window. However, with Internet Explorer, if you have more than one tab open, then the focus moves to the task switcher list box, which will be described here in just a minute. If the app has more than one window open, then the focus becomes the first item in the task switcher list box. You can then select the window or tab that you want to switch to and press enter, and that window or tab will be brought into focus. To open a context menu which includes the app's jump list, you would press your Windows application key and you would navigate down to the jump list and press enter. And remember, I told you a jump list gives you more things that you can do with the application. And once you're in the jump list, you would use your up and down arrow keys to select the item that you would like and press enter. And this will vary depending on the application. You can also close all the windows or tabs in an app by pressing your Windows application key again to open the app's context menu. and you would navigate with your down arrow to the close window or close all windows button and press either enter or spacebar to activate it. You can open a new instance of the app.
Shutter button. Press Alt plus Enter to activate. Press Alt plus Shift plus Enter to long press.
So to open a new instance of the app, whether or not it's already running, you would press Shift plus Enter. If the app needs administrative permission, then you would press Control Shift Enter. To move to the task switch list box, you would press down arrow twice or up arrow one time. To move to the, unlike using spacebar, these keystrokes can be used when there is only a single item in the task switcher list box. If JAWS is not running, then you only have to press these keys once. But if JAWS is running, then you have to push them twice because JAWS seems to ignore the first time you push them. Now I'm going to talk about the task switcher list box. The task switcher list box automatically opens above the app's taskbar button if the button has the focus and the app has more than one open window or tab. The list box normally contains the titles of an app's open windows, and they're listed in the order in which they are open. However, in Internet Explorer, it would give you a list of the titles to the tabs which are open. And these titles of the tabs will also list in the order that they are open. But for some reason, JAWS seems to think that there's 3 times more items in this list box than there actually are. For example, if there are 2 items in the list box, when JAWS reads the first item, it'll incorrectly say 1 of 6 when there's really only 2. So if you're using your arrow keys and you're only finding 2, then that's all there is. The items in the list box are displayed in a row of items, and you can use these keystrokes to navigate. You can move forward or backward through the apps, so you can press your right arrow to move forward and press your left arrow to move backward, and you can also move forward an item by pressing tab. So this would move you to the next item. Press Shift Tab would move you to the previous item. To select the first or last item, you could press Home or End.
Shutter button.
Now, you cannot select an item by using the first character of the app when you're in the list box. If you press a letter or a character, you will just close out the list box. And I don't know why this happens, but it does. To close the list box, you can press escape one time or down arrow one time. The task switcher list box can also temporarily open while using Windows key plus a number row keystroke, and I'm going to explain that now. There are keystrokes that use an app's position. There are a number of keystrokes that use the position of an app's button on the taskbar. You can use the numbers 1 to 0, which gives you a total of 10 numbers or apps. These are useful mostly for pinned apps because error positions are known. To either open an app or switch to a window or tab which is already pinned, you can use Windows key number row 1 to 0. Its effect depends on how many windows or tabs in the app are already open. If the app isn't running, then the app is open. If there is one open window, or then the focus is switched to it. However, if the window is already in focus, then the previous window becomes the focus. If there is more than one window or tab open, then the task switcher list box temporarily opens with the first title selected, which corresponds with the first window or tab pinned to the taskbar. The list box automatically closes when you select an item and press enter, and the focus automatically switches back to the window or tab that you were working with. If there is more than one window or tab, you can also switch to any of these rather than just the first. Start holding down the Windows key. Press a number key. The task switcher list box opens with the first title selected. The titles are listed in the order in which they have been opened or have been pinned. You can cycle around them by repeatedly pressing the number key. When you've selected the title you want, release the Windows key. The task switcher list box will close and the focus will be switched to the window or tab that you have selected. You can also open an app or switch to a window tab that is already open by pressing Control Windows key number row 1 through 0. If the app isn't open, then the app will be open. If there is one open window or tab, then the focus moves to that window or tab. However, if this window or tab is already the focus, then the previous window or previous tab becomes the focus. For these cases, the effect is the same as using Windows key plus number 1 through number row 0. However, if there is more than that window or tab open, then the focus is switched to the last window of which was viewed with the focus. If you carry on pressing this keystroke, then you cycle around the windows or tabs in the order of last viewed. It's normally convenient to keep the Control and Windows key help on and just repeat the number key, but you can use the complete keystroke. So this can be confusing if you don't practice it. And that's why I said that you need to actually practice these commands to get an understanding of how they work. To open a menu which contains the jump list of an app, press Alt plus Windows key plus number, or you can also press just the Windows application key, navigate down to jump list with your down arrow and press enter. To open a new instance of the app, whether the app is already running, plus Shift Windows key, number row 1 through number row 0. You can pin and unpin apps. You can pin an app to the taskbar using the taskbar buttons or from the start menu. To pin an app to the taskbar using the taskbar buttons, first you need to open the app, move to its taskbar button, then open the context menu, and with your Windows application key, navigate with your down arrow to pin to taskbar and press enter. To pin
Shutter button.
an app to the
Press Alt plus
taskbar
enter to
from
activate.
the
Press Alt plus
start
Shift plus
menu,
enter to long press.
move to the app either on the start menu or in your list of search results. Open the context menu by pressing the Windows application key, navigate with your down arrow to pin to taskbar and press enter. For example, if you wanted to pin the control panel to the taskbar, you would open the control panel, you would press Windows key T until you locate the taskbar button for the control panel, and then you would choose pin to taskbar from its context menu. So you would press the Windows application key to bring up that context menu, navigate with down arrow to pin to taskbar and press enter. To unpin an app from the taskbar, select the pin app, press the Windows application key to open the context menu, arrow down to unpin from taskbar and press enter. You can change the order of the pinned apps, and I'm going to talk about that now, how you do that. Sighted users can change the order of the pinned apps by dragging them by using the mouse, but we can do this using the JAWS cursor. But it's not very easy to do this for those of us who are blind or visually impaired. It's easier just to remove all the pinned apps and then pin the apps in the order that you want to pin them. I hope you enjoyed this video. I talked about the taskbar buttons and some of this information. There's a lot of information here and it can be confusing. So like I suggested that you if you want to understand this information, really try it, really practice it, really explore. That's how I learned how to use Windows, is by practicing and exploring. And there are a few great guides out there that are more comprehensive than the information I've given you. There's a guide by David Bellows, and it's called Using the Taskbar of Windows 10 with JAWS for Windows. And so if you search for that, Using the Taskbar of Windows 10 with JAWS for Windows on the web, it will bring up this guide that I've been using. And there's also a wonderful textbook that if you would like to purchase a wonderful Windows 10 textbook, you can go to blindtraining.com at Access Technology Institute. Kathy Ann Murtha sells a wonderful Windows 10 textbook, and it's very comprehensive, and you can purchase one of those from her. And I will continue to make videos of Windows 10. The next one I'm going to do will be about accessing the jump lists in Windows 10. So I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.
Shutter button. Review cancel button. 31:17. Review cancel button. 31. Review cancel button. Shutter button. Review cancel button. Press. Shutter button. Press.